Hello, everyone, and welcome back to What the Frick podcast. Today, I am here with my friend Drea. Say hello, Drea.
Hello, everyone.
So, a fun fact about me and Drea is we actually became friends only a few months ago.
Yeah, like I would say maybe 5 months ago, 6 months ago.
It was like during March, I think.
Yeah,
during
I
spring
can't count
training.
months. I can't count months.
But I was thinking it's kind of funny. This is only our fourth time ever hanging out in person.
Yeah, but also, I don't know, like live, you can do virtual stuff, so I don't know.
Well, it's weird because it's only like our fourth time in person, but like we've been talking for months. So like I feel like I've known you for like way longer than that. But it's weird to think about that we've only like had this many interactions since you moved away for a while.
I know. I'm kind of sad that I moved away, but I'm glad to be back in the great state of Arizona. Should we talk about how we met as friends?
Yeah. Do you want to start it off?
Sure. So my friend Molly.
Shout out Molly.
Shout out Molly. My friend Molly is one of my friends from college. We were in the same sorority. And she had texted me and said, hey, I have a friend that's moving to Arizona, and you just moved to Arizona, so I think you guys should meet up. And I was like, okay, cool. And then nothing happened. And
yeah, we didn't meet up because I was like, I'm too overwhelmed with my life at the moment.
I think you had just moved to Arizona, so
yeah,
completely normal. And then she came to visit both of us for spring training. Well, she was here for spring training, yeah. But she came and visited, and we all went to dinner at a super cute, like, new restaurant in downtown Phoenix, and it was really fun. I definitely I don't think you know this, but I thought you didn't like me at all. I was like, oh my God, so I picked her up, and it was just me and her in the car.
Our first time meeting.
Yes. Me and her in the car, and I was like, okay, what do I talk about? Like, it's like a first date.
It is. To make you feel better, though, this is not like the first time someone has said this to me. Like, legit, every friend I've ever made that like I consider a good friend of mine has told me that the first few instances of being around me, like they thought I hated them. I don't know if it's my face or what I'm doing. Like, I am more of a naturally like shy person around new people, and so when we got around our mutual friend Molly, I was like, okay, I feel a little bit more comfortable now, but something's wrong with me because like everyone I've ever met is like, I thought you hated me, and I'm like, no, I'm just like, I don't know I need to fix my face or something.
No, I don't. Sometimes I get nervous too because I'm like, I don't know if I have anxiety. We've talked about this. I have
but
anxiety.
You're not a nervous person. Like.
No, I don't think I would be I'm not a nervous person, but like I am also in my head a lot. So there's a lot of things going through my head that maybe doesn't necessarily show on my face. But yeah, so I didn't think Shayna liked me at all. I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to see this girl ever again. And we literally lived pretty much across the street from each other at that point. Then I didn't save her number in my phone because I'm very bad at it.
I didn't save your number either. I don't save anyone's number. Like, I'm so bad at that.
I have a rule for saving people's number. But I get a text from her number, and I didn't save it. And she's like, oh, send me a workout. And I was like, who is this? She's like, it's Shayna. I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, I didn't know. Like, sorry. So I sent her a little workout. And did you like it? I don't know.
I did like it.
Okay.
Yeah. See, like, the thing about you not saving numbers is I'm smart about it. So, like, if someone texts me, I have an app where I can type in the number, and it tells you, like, who's.
Wait, there's an app?
Yeah, my friend showed it to me because I was like, I hate being like, who is this, you know?
Yeah, actually, funny, I get a text every single year from a random number that I don't know who it is. It just says happy birthday with a smiley face. And I don't know who it is, but I'm not like confident enough to be like, yo, this is the 4th year in a row. I genuinely don't have your number. Who is this?
Okay, well, we need to look it up after.
I know. I know.
Because I've had multiple times where I'm like, because I usually just save all my texts so I can like kind of scroll back and usually figure it out. But I'm trying to get better about saving numbers. Unless you're a guy I'm talking to, you're absolutely not being saved. But if you're not, in that scope of people, and I'm trying to actually save numbers. It's becoming actually like difficult to. I'm like, why am I making it so much harder for myself?
I actually do have a rule about saving guys' numbers. I don't save a guy's number unless I've been A, like we're officially like dating, B, we've been talking for over 2 months, or C, we've just are friends now. We're not like anything romantic. Those are my rules.
I don't know what my rules are. Like with the last guy I was with, I saved his name after like a month and just put like his name and then like Hinge next to it. And he saw that and he was like, why is that my contact? And I was like,
what do you want, a heart next
what
to
does it matter? So I think he changed it to his last name, but I was like, I don't see why this is relevant.
Well, you know how iPhone, you can, it like automatically tells you who it is sometimes if they have an iPhone, or they say their name within one of the texts. Well, that would probably be the only way that I would see or know who it is. But yeah, that's my little rule for everyone who's listening, if anyone wants it to.
Well, they don't deserve to have their... I mean,
absolutely.
I should have never saved his number to begin with.
I know. We should put like little emojis by their name until they deserve a name in the phone, because then you're attached forever.
Well, did you see the thing on TikTok where it's people are putting like the graveyard emoji?
I should do that for this last person.
I thought that was interesting, but I kind of like knowing if someone from that like screwed me over reaches out, just so I can like not ever respond. And also I would just look up their number anyway. So that would not work for me.
I feel like I have too many of them it would be hard to decipher who it is. So I don't know. Maybe if you had like one or two where they were really bad, I would maybe do that. But I'd rather know. I'd rather know who it is. And that way I can decide whether I want to talk to them or not.
Yeah, I could never do that. But anyway, speaking of boys, I think one of the reasons that we bonded so much is because we were in very similar situationships when we were becoming friends, and we both got royally screwed over by two guys that we literally thought were going to wife us up. And it happened about, what was it, 3 weeks apart?
I think it was like 3 weeks apart, yeah.
Yeah, so it happened to Drea first, and then I was like, oh my God, this is a bad omen for me. And then 3 weeks later it happened to me, and I was like, okay, yeah, this just, was I meant to be, I guess.
I know, but one thing I did tell you that I think it's a recurring thing that has happened to me within the last couple of years, but I feel like you bond with people who tend to have similar situations happen to them, and I feel like the fact that ours happened within 3 weeks of each other kind of bonded us even more, and kind of just being in a similar stage of life, both being now single, kind of trying to figure out life and moving forward without these men that we thought were gonna be like the loves of our lives. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, because it's weird how like girls bond over guys, but then like you learn more about the fact that you're more similar to like the person you're bonding with. Because if you had said all these like ridiculous things, like I would have been like, I don't know if I agree with that. But it's like everything we were discussing in terms of the guys we were seeing, like we both related to, and we both were like, oh yeah, I'm doing the same thing, or I would never fucking do that. So like it ended up showing each other that we like had very similar personalities.
Yeah, I would agree. I think unfortunately trauma bonds people more than they think. Like I have another friend that we've gone through a lot with physical therapy school together, and it just has made us that much closer. So anyways, I'm very happy to be here and to be back in Arizona and be able to hang out more in person instead of auto messaging each other. Audio messaging, that's the correct term.
Yeah, because we've been audio voice texting each other for the last two months-ish. And I was like, we should just turn that into a podcast. But all the texts like go away. Otherwise, I would have like somehow found a way to save them all.
Well,
but
if you can do it on like your voice memo and then send the voice memo, you can save all of them. But that would be just a lot of extra work that I'm not sure I want to put in.
No, so that's why we're here today recording an actual podcast.
An actual live. We're live and alive.
So I'm going to force Drea to do the one thing I've yet to do, which is release an episode about my dating history, my life. I'm making everybody else like do it first, and then I'm gonna get the courage to actually release mine afterward. But she has had some crazy run-ins, just crazy things that have happened with dudes. So I kind of want. I've heard a few stories myself, but hopefully there's something in here I haven't heard yet. But I'm gonna kind of let Drea take the reins here and go all out.
So this story I have told, well, the story kind of took a turn when Shayna and I were becoming friends. So the beginning of the story happened a year ago, last summer. I don't know, should I say his name?
I usually give them a different name, just so like for slander reasons.
I think I
but
should
do whatever you want.
What should we name? We'll just, he probably would know it's him, but we're gonna call him Texas Boy because
we love that.
That's literally where we met. Anyways, so this beginning of the story, I was moving to Houston for my clinical rotation. So I didn't want to be in Houston, but I had to be there anyways. So I was living with my friend Taylor. Shout out Taylor, we love. And the day I got there, I was like, girl, I'm stressed. Let's go out. Let's go have a fun time. So we go out and we meet this group of guys, and there's like 7 of them. So I had my pick of the litter, obviously. But the one that stuck around was Texas Boy, and we had a great night. We walked back to his house. It was me and him, his friend, and my friend Taylor, and we walked back to his house. We had a little kiss at the end of the night, and he got my number, but I didn't think anything of it just because, you know, sometimes you just never get a text or whatever. So the next day I get a text from him, and we're chatting a little bit, and he's like, I would love to take you on a date. And I'm like, okay, sure, we'll do that. But we never went on a date. Like, he never followed up on the date. So I was like, kind of blew him off. I was like, okay, this is never gonna happen. I wasn't sad about it though. It was like a okay situation.
It's like one of those one night things where you just meet someone, you have fun. It doesn't always turn into something like actual.
Exactly. So then that next Thursday, I was out with a group of people that were friends of a friend. So like I didn't really know them either, but they were this bar does turtle races. So I don't know what that is.
Fun.
Yeah, they put turtles in like a middle of the circle, and like whichever turtle exits the circle first is like the winner. Very weird. Very Texas.
That would never happen here in Arizona.
Very Texas. So anyways, I get a text from him. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm at this bar. He's like, let's meet up. I'm like, okay, where? And so he sends me a location. And I'm like, okay, this looks really sketchy, but you know what? Do it for the plot, I guess. So I went and met him, and he pulls up next to me in his Mustang, which should have been a red flag. I feel like me and Shane have talked about this, about cars that signify red flags.
That is a red flag, 100%.
Yeah. So he pulls up in his Mustang, and this bar is dead. Like, literally, I think me and him are the only ones at this bar. We're having a good time. We're laughing. He's like, do you want to come over to my house for some more drinks? I'm like, oh, where do you live? He's like, oh, down the street. I'm like, classic. Okay.
Of course he does. Yeah. How convenient of him.
How convenient, pulling up at a bar next to his house. So we go to his house. We played pool for a little bit. It was getting late, and I was like, I'm going to go. He's like, you don't want to stay the night? I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not staying the night. No. I had like 1 or 2 White Claws, so I was perfectly fine to drive home. And he was like, okay. I'm like, you can see me again when you take me on a proper date. Good night. So I left.
Yes, we love that.
I was feeling very ballsy, and also like there wasn't any pressure at all. So I was like, okay, I'll leave. I get a text from him the next day, and he was like, I want to take you out on a date on Sunday. I'm like, okay. that Saturday, we went out with some friends, and I was very hungover on Sunday, and I almost didn't go on this date, which I guess would have changed kind of the trajectory of the story. But we go on a date. It's super fun. He seems like a great guy. He's a couple years older than me. He's very established in the oil and gas industry, which is very common in Houston. And then, I don't know, we just keep on going on dates. One day on a Friday, because he works 1 week on, 1 week off. So it was his week off, and he was like, let's go do something on Friday. I'm like, would you want to meet me at the gym? And we can work out and see where the day goes. So we work out, and then his mom is calling him. And apparently, like, he had made plans to go to the beach. He asked me after he hung up the phone, was like, do you want to come to the beach with me? And I'm like, aren't your parents going to be there?
Yeah, like with his mom.
Yeah. So, again, I was like, this was, I would say, like a month in. So I'd only been talking to him for a month. I thought things were going pretty good, but, you know, I don't know him very well. I was like, okay, well, sure. I've never been to Galveston, so why not?
So you're meeting the family.
Meeting the family. Timeline. Meeting the family, month in. I met his mom and his stepdad, and they're amazing. The stepdad's from California, so we had a lot in common. And yeah, it was a great weekend. We spent the night there. His parents were amazing. You get home, everything's fine. And then, like, a day later, I knew his birthday was coming up, and I was like, oh, what do you want to do for your birthday? And he was like, oh, I'm going to Florida Bama Shore. We're going for my birthday with my dad, my sister, brother-in-law, and my 3 nephews. I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, you can come if you want. And you know, that is never, ever the way to ask a girl to come on vacation with them.
If you want.
That's just like such a slap in the face. Like, I'm not gonna be like, yeah, I really want to go. Like, no, ask me in a proper way. Ask me, I would love you to come. So I didn't talk about it ever again. And a couple weeks later, he brought it up. He's like, so are you coming? I'm like, what do you mean? I thought you didn't want me to come. He's like, I asked you. I'm like, no, you asked me the wrong way. So I didn't do anything about it. But I got work off because
So you went.
So I went. And the whole weekend, it was a great weekend for sure. But I will say I had a lot of anxiety surrounding the situation because I was getting a lot of questions.
His whole family was there.
Yeah.
That sounds terrifying.
He has like 3 nephews under the age of 6. And if you know kids, like, they don't understand dating. They only understand mom and dad married. That's it. So we got a lot of questions from them, and like, obviously I worked with kids at the time, so it was easy to talk to them. But I don't know, there's a lot of stuff lingering in my head because I knew I was moving to Arizona in like the next couple weeks. He knew that before too, so backtrack a little bit. He already had known that I was moving to Arizona. I told him that when he asked me if like we could date exclusively. And I mentioned that, and he's like, we'll figure it out. Anyway, so I had a lot of reservations about the situation, which any girl would. How are you going to make a long-distance relationship work?
I'm surprised that he didn't have any of those reservations. I feel like the guy's usually the one that's having that.
I feel like he did have reservations. He just didn't obviously say them out loud because later on in the story, those reservations definitely came up. But fast forward to a couple weeks before I left, so I want to say that was like mid-August, he and I got into a little tiff. It wasn't even a tiff. I was angry at him because he was hungover and we had made plans, and he kind of ruined those plans, and it made me frustrated. I think I was frustrated not just with him, but just in general, anxious, all those emotions kind of built up.
Yeah, like the whole situation.
Yeah, just the whole situation in itself was very frustrating. So I got angry at him, and we ended up going out to dinner that night and kind of talking about it. I was like, I need my 5 minutes of fame right now. I'm going to tell you exactly why I'm angry. We can figure it out. And pretty much he had an anxiety attack, and he was like from my perspective, he didn't understand how I was feeling. And so it made him have even more anxiety about the situation. And when we went back to his house, he told me to leave. And I was like, okay, why? But the next day, we're supposed to go to a baseball game. And he changed our plans and asked if we could do it the next day. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And then he, 2 hours later, was like, hey, I think we need to take a break. I need some time to think. And was like, okay, that's fine.
It sounds like a midlife crisis.
Yeah,
he's having.
It's like a quarter life crisis for him. He just had turned, 28 or 20? Yeah, 28. So anyways, I was shook. I was like, okay, I'll give him a couple days. But then those couple days turned into weeks. And then those weeks turned into months. And I never heard of this man ever again.
And it turns to decades.
It literally turns into decades. And then I never hear from him. I didn't hear from him for a long time. And so I kind of just mourned the loss of our relationship. I was pretty sad about it. Just because we had made a lot of future plans, and I talked to his sister very intimately about kind of like where I thought this was going. And I also thought because he was older, a little bit older than me, like he would have more ability to communicate, which obviously did not.
They never do.
Like,
it doesn't matter how old
honestly,
they are.
I'm going to have to marry a 60-year-old at this point because recently, anyways, I don't think any men know how to talk to women. But so I moved to Arizona. I lived my life. I was dating other people. And then when I moved back to Oregon for this last, it was 3 months I was gone, I get a little notification from, I was going to say his name, but
Texas boy.
I get a notification from him, and honestly, I thought I was seeing things. I was like, this is not real.
So wait, how long had it been since you last talked to him? Like a year?
It had been
2 years?
No, it had been 10 months.
Okay.
So
almost a year.
Almost a year. So I was shocked. I was like not really sure what to think. And so I read his text, and it was also right before I was about to go to bed. And any person with anxiety can know that I literally did not sleep that night at all. So the next morning I kind of think of what to say. I'm, just pondering and like, okay, I'll text him back. But his text pretty much, like in summary, was apologizing, saying I mishandled the situation. I'm really sorry. I hope you can forgive me. X, Y, and Z. Like literally just like a generic apology. And so I
hope you said no.
Well, obviously the conversation continued. But I came up with like a pretty good text and was like, I appreciate your apology. Wish you could have told me this 10 months ago, obviously. But I still, accept your apology, but I believe that I deserve a, one-on-one conversation over the phone or FaceTime, or something like that.
Yeah, not to cut you off, but I always think it's so weird. Like, what is happening in their lives where they suddenly just decide today is the day, like this late night, I'm going to just send this text to this person that I cut off for 10 months? Like, what causes this to happen with men? Like, they always come back, like they say, but it's like literally, like, I want to know, like, did you see a picture of me? Did someone bring me up? Did you see like my favorite movie come on? Like, I want to know what caused this.
I know. I think, well, my theory behind at least him was that it was, so Texas is 2 hours ahead, so it was 1 o'clock his time, so I'm assuming he was drinking and partying. and maybe my name got brought up or something like that. Or maybe all of his friends were talking to girls and he felt lonely. So he decided, oh, this would be a great time to text her after 10 months. An apology letter. But anyways, so I responded in that way, and he texted me back like literally hours later, 12 hours later, which is very, very like him. And he was like, I'll call you tomorrow. I'm like, okay, sounds great. Tomorrow comes, and I'm anxious the entire day. I don't really know what to do with myself. Anxious the entire day, no call. Which, honestly, I should have expected it, right?
Did he like text you again, or just he
No.
said, I'll call you, and then nothing?
He said, I'll call you tomorrow. And I said, okay, sounds good. And then I never got a call. So I'm like, okay, this man literally fooled me again. Like, I gave him the opportunity to call me, and he fooled me again. So obviously I'm pretty pissed, but you know, it is what it is. I decided in that point, like, okay, I'm not going to reach out. There's no point. I actually talked to Shayna about it too, and she's like, what would that do for you? Nothing. I could literally yell at him all I want. It's not going to change anything. So then a month goes by, and 4th of July weekend, I get another text the day before I was supposed to take a practice exam for my national board exam that I took a couple weeks ago.
It's like they know.
They know. I know. They
But
know something important is going.
It's like they do it on a holiday where you're trying to have fun, or they do it when you're about to take the most important test of your
Yeah.
entire life.
I mean, thankfully it was a practice exam, so it didn't count for anything. But still, like, I'm trying to get in my like mojo. I'm trying to get in the zone. And so he texted me and was like, "Let's chat soon." Like literally in those 3 words, and I was like, I was so pissed off
That sounds like an I am. Let's chat soon.
Yeah, I was like, are we 4? Like, what are we doing? But I responded and was like, we can talk now. And so
Yes. He clearly has an issue, like sending
Yeah.
something and like, like
exactly.
taking it back.
He definitely, I think he, honestly, when I heard it from him, I could tell he had been drinking. So obviously he had liquid courage in his body. But we went back and forth, and I was like, you can call me now or never talk to me again, because I'm over this. I'm not going to deal with your bullshit anymore. You're not worth it in this manner to me. Like, I don't have feelings. So speak now or forever hold your peace and never speak to me ever again. So
Good for you, first of all.
I feel like I was definitely in my power right there. Not always, but, you know, sometimes it happens. But anyway, so he calls me at 11 o'clock at night, which, again, must have had some liquid courage to talk to me that late. Moral of the story is I talked to him first. Like, I said my piece, and I was like, look, you really hurt me. I had all these expectations of you, especially after I've told you how other people had treated me, and you kind of just disregarded all of that. And the one thing I asked from you from the very beginning was to just talk to me, like communicate. I'm a pretty empathetic person, especially with my job. I kind of have to be, but in general, I feel like my best characteristic that most people can say is that I'm understanding. I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to be a bitch about it. Like, I'd rather you tell me the truth and be honest with me than me like being in the dark. And his response to everything was that the reason he ended things in that manner was because he didn't think I was going to be happy living in Houston. And my first response...
But after you had already told him that you were planning on moving to Arizona anyway.
Yeah.
Like, did he think you were going to stay there?
So the reason behind that was that I had a conversation with his mom before, and she had asked me as a parent, which is a normal question, what my plans were after I graduated from school, which I would have been in Arizona. I'm like, and I told her I got a job offer in Houston, and was looking into maybe moving back to Houston, but I wasn't sure. And I wasn't actively searching for anything. I just got, my old clinic really wanted me to work for them. So I was like, okay, yeah, I got a job offer. It wasn't official. There was no like offer letter or whatever. It was just a verbal communication that they wanted me there. So I had mentioned that to her, and I think she took it upon herself to tell her son, which is fine, like whatever, they talk. But I think he took it in a way maybe differently than what I had meant. And he was thinking that I was going to move there, and like he thought that I hated Houston and that I, hated my job. I hated my roommate. I hated everything about Houston, which first of all wasn't true. Like, yeah, there are days at my work that I hated because I got punched in the face by a kid, but like anyone would. I loved my roommate and I loved my clinical instructor. So I don't know where any of these ideas were coming from, what he was telling me.
Maybe he just thought you were like dropping all your like original plans because of him, and that like freaked him out, like that you were gonna like commit to like not move to Arizona.
Yeah, and I think I understand that, and I think I can see where he's coming from in that aspect. But I think the fact that I just needed him to talk to me about that sort of stuff kind of trumps his fears, because we could have easily ended things there in a good way, been like, you know what, it's been a good run and I don't see this going any further. I'm scared for the future and I don't think I can do long distance. There you go. That's it.
Yeah, better than just telling you we're going on a break and then never talking to
you
again.
Me ever again. Yeah. I think things could have gone a lot better. But we went in circles for 45 minutes because I would say all I needed you to do was communicate, and then he would say, well, I didn't think you were going to like Houston, and then it just went in a circle like that. And
that's not a very good excuse. You can't just say, I didn't think you wouldn't like a city. It's like, well, I don't like you because you don't know how to communicate.
And also the fact that like that wasn't his decision to make. It wasn't his decision to tell me whether I was going to like a city or not. That is not his decision to make. And I think he, needless to say, he's a little bit of a narcissist. So I think he was thinking that I was going to lean on him a lot when I was there. And that's not the case. I have shown myself that I can thrive literally in any city and be perfectly fine. I can make friends on my own. I don't need a significant other to help me do that. So anyways, we went in circles for a long time, and then he drops the bomb on me and says, I'd love to come visit you in Arizona when you're back. And I was shook. I was like, No. Well, part of me, I mean, like I've told you, part of me was like, I kind of want to see, like, I want him to know that, like, this is never going to happen. I kind of want to tease him a little bit. But at the same time, like, what is that going to do for me? It's literally going to waste my time. And he was like, oh, I'll help you move in. I'm like, yeah, no, you won't. Yeah. And my mom's going to be here, and she hates you.
I remember when you sent me that audio message about it. And it's like, I'm the same way. Like, you want to see what could happen, but it's like, it's like only going to negatively impact your life type of thing. But there would be no positive to come out of that other than he's going to like stir up feelings that you've taken the last 10 months to process and get over, and just like confuse you more when you're starting like your life again back in Arizona.
I think a big thing also was realizing that this is definitely not someone that I want to be with. Like, I don't want to be with someone that is going to just peace out when things get rough instead of talking to me like a normal human being. And I mean, if you're out there listening, I wish him well. Like, I don't really have any like bad feelings towards him. We had a conversation and I kind of feel like I needed that to kind of release any extra thing, and kind of made myself realize, like, no, why would I settle for someone who's not going to treat me as I would like to be treated, even if he is like the nicest guy to be a friend with. Like, that's not how I feel like I should be treated.
So how did things end? When he asked to come visit?
I told him I would think about it, but right now that wasn't my priority because my priority was to pass my board exam, and then after that I would see where I felt. He was like, okay, well, like, let me know. But since then, I haven't had any communication with him. He hasn't reached out to me, so I think
I'm sure he will again.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm going to future tell right now. I'm going to give it like 3 months. And we'll see where things are in 3 months. But as of right now, I'm very happy with where my life is. And I wish him the best. I hope that he's doing great. I know that he got a job promotion recently. But anyways, that is my story of Texas boy. Yeah, boy, because he's definitely not a man at all.
Well, I mean, I think it's good that you can wish him all the best. I feel like it's growth on his part that he was able to eventually actually reach back out and actually have a phone call after putting it off for so long. But I mean, even then he was like waiting hours until he actually called you and you said like, call me now or never call me again. Yeah. So it doesn't seem like he's made like a little bit of growth, but like not enough to where it's like redeemable.
Well, my other question that I had for him, because obviously I was curious, and I will say that I was pretty emotional that night. Like, I did cry on the phone, and I think it was just like releasing all that extra stuff that I might have kept in. I asked him, why did it take you 10 months? Because we could have had this conversation September, October. And he's like, well, I was doing a lot of work on myself. I wasn't in a good place. I didn't know how to reach out to you and talk to you. I'm like, first of all, you blocked me on Instagram, so you easily could have.
He blocked you?
Yeah. He didn't block me. He removed me as a friend on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He shouldn't want to look at you.
You just don't want to see my beautiful face.
Can't say it hasn't happened to me.
So, anyways, and he just gave more excuses, which is even more of a reason why I'm like, you're an ick. Like, you are the definition of an ick. So I think another podcast we should do is list of icks that we have.
Yeah, or when we do he's a 7. But.
Oh my God. Yeah, we did that like literally all summer. Something would happen and I would send her like, I think one example was he's a 4, but he drives a Jeep with the top down.
Well, it's funny because my family actually loves Jeeps, and like my dad in the summer will in the winter, because it's like nice weather, he'll like take all the doors and the roof off, and it's actually really fun. But I mean, my dad's just doing it so that my dogs can ride around in the wind, not to like look cool and get people.
I'm thinking like a 26-year-old.
Yeah, I think it depends on their intentions. I think for me, like, a Jeep is less of a turn off than like the Mustang. Like
the
how
Mustang,
you said.
There are a couple cars that I'm like, never again. Dodge Charger is one of them. A Mustang, maybe not the electric Mustangs. I like the electric ones; those are cool. I kind of want one. And then the Chevy Camaro. Because I've also dated a guy that
my brother has a Camaro. My whole family's just full of these cars.
Really?
Yeah, and it's very douchey looking too.
Yeah.
And he has like one of those license plates that's like, it says "send it" on the license plate.
Oh my God.
And when he got it, I was like,
how old's your brother?
He just turned 21.
Oh, okay. I give him permission then.
Luckily, he's in the 4-year going on 5-year relationship, so I don't think she cares. But I was like, you look ridiculous.
If I was dating someone, I hope you would tell me this. If I was dating someone that had "send it" at like 35 as their license plate, I would hope that one of my friends would be like, Drea, no, please no.
Yeah, I think it's acceptable for now. He's gonna have to change it in a few years because I don't know where he's gonna. I hope he stays with her. Otherwise, another girl's going to look at that and be like, what is going on in your head? But
very classic 21-year-olds.
But going back to what happened to you, I just hope that when he does reach out again, because I know he will, whether it's tonight or in 2 weeks or in another 10 months, that you, even if you do respond, like, you just don't give him the time of day.
I'll just send him a picture of my face.
Yeah, send him a picture of your face.
I'll just send him a selfie and that's it. There will be no words to it.
Or, you know, like how people will take like their friend and dress them up like a guy. And like,
and so
like a hat, and then it's like, just send him a picture of you like with me, and I'll like put on like gray sweatpants.
Oh my god, we should do that.
And just be like, I'm actually great, have a great life, and then like never respond
to anything. Well, I don't really look at my stories on Instagram a whole lot anymore, but I'm curious to see if he like looks at my stuff. I mean, I post a lot of like fitness stuff, so probably not, but anyways, yeah, no, I don't think I will give him the time of day anymore. He's a 4 with the hat on, so I don't.
So he's like a 1.5.
Yeah. Honestly, he was only cute with the hat on, and I'm sorry if he hears this, but
a hat fisher.
It's real life.
No, hat fishers are real, and we have to be aware of them.
Also, there is a such thing as a like the beard situation too. I feel like some guys are just more attractive with facial hair, and when they shave it, it's like, you're literally a naked mole rat. Please get away from me.
Yeah, a guy on Hinge I saw was completely shaven, and then the next photo he had like one of those like country beards where it's like really thick. Ew. And I was like, you look like 2 totally different people, and I don't think I'm attracted to either of them. So it's a no. This will be a 2-part series, so come back next week to hear Drea's second story of a 4th of July that she had that turned pretty crazy, and by crazy I mean Project X crazy. All right, see you guys next week.